Hey everyone, it's Jacob.
And Hannah.
Back here with another episode of Commerce Connects. Today, I wanted to introduce our next guest, the 103rd Mayor of Wichita, Lily Wu. We're so glad to have you on today's episode, Lily.
Thanks for having me, Hannah and Jacob.
Yeah.
Yeah, no problem. Lily, can you share with us what initially sparked your passion for public service and how your diverse background has shaped your approach to leadership?
So it really comes down to my entire life story. My story really began somewhere outside of Wichita, but it continued since I have been living here for 31 years. So I was actually born and raised in Antigua, Guatemala. My first language is Spanish. My brother and I were both born there. And my grandpa lived here in Wichita, so he was the one who sponsored us to immigrate to the United States. But that immigration process takes a very long time. Mm-hmm. And so my parents raised us in Guatemala until we finally could come to America. And so on April 2nd, 1993, my family immigrated to Wichita, Kansas. So I've called this place my home ever since. Mm-hmm. And so on the 30th anniversary of coming to America, I announced my candidacy to become the next mayor of Wichita. Oh. So my family not only celebrated a milestone here in Wichita, they got to see their daughter announce that she was going to want to lead this community. Mm. And so that was a year ago, and now we're here where I now get to serve as the 103rd mayor for the city of Wichita.
Dude, that is amazing. So we did a little deep dive. So how did you end up going to like the University of Hong Kong? I saw you have a master's degree from there. So how did that all happen?
So education has always been the key to what my parents have always preached about the importance of it. The reason why they wanted to come to America, not only for the freedoms that we have in this country, but you know that we have a great education system. Mm-hmm. Yes. And I think we take that for granted. Anytime I have the opportunity to be amongst people who've been a Wichitan for more than 30 years, I always want to say thank you. Mm. And I want to say thank you because I am the product of their investment. Mm. And I think oftentimes we forget that when people in our community get a free education, which I received one, I went through Wichita Public Schools. So I know that there's no such thing as a free education. It means that people invested in my education. And so I show them the product of their investment, someone who was able to realize their full potential right here in Wichita. And I really am so grateful for that. When I came to the U.S., I didn't speak English. Okay. So the very first school I went to, I had to get bused to that school. It was Lawrence Elementary School in West Wichita. So we lived in Southwest Wichita. We got bused so that we could learn English. There was something called the English as a Second Language program. And so I still remember my very first day of school. I didn't understand my teacher. I didn't understand my peers. So I went home crying to my mom, and I begged her, please take us back home. But it was in that moment that my mom reminded us that this is our new home, that I had to grow up. And I had to grow up fast because I knew that I would have to take a leadership role within my own family by becoming the main translator. And to this very day, I still play that role of being the main translator for my parents. My mom's a hairstylist here in Wichita, and my dad is a Chinese kitchen cook at the Dillons where we grew up. So for me, education has always been that key to helping my family. So I learned English by going through Wichita Public Schools, but I also learned English by watching television, which inspired my career in journalism. Okay. So when I was 8 years old, I watched Channel 3 with my dad. With my grandpa, rather. And grandpa liked watching the local news, followed by Wheel of Fortune. And so they inspired my career in journalism because I thought of them as my out-of-classroom teachers. So ever since I was 8 years old, I knew I wanted to get into a career of journalism. I wanted to be like those local reporters and anchors that I got to see and learn English from. So fast forward, I was able to graduate from East High. Then I went on to Wichita State University. I graduated with 2 degrees in international business and integrated marketing communication. Immediately after, right before I graduated, I competed for something called the Rotary Ambassadorial Scholarship. So the Rotary Clubs of Kansas had this scholarship that would allow a young person who had just graduated from undergraduate and then get to pursue their graduate degree. And so I applied for it. I won the scholarship. And it allowed me the opportunity to go and pursue my journalism master's from the University of Hong Kong. While I was there, I was not only going through school, but I also served as an ambassador for the city of Wichita and Kansas.
That's awesome.
So in my early 20s, I was not just a student, I was also an ambassador for our community. So I always say that my life story really has placed me in this really great opportunity and time where I get to truly be honored to serve my community. And I want more people to know that there are opportunities here. I mean, I know for a fact that there are opportunities left and right. And the reason why I know them is because I see things in our community, whether it's a challenge or an actual positive thing that's happening, as an opportunity to help improve this community and to also see how I can continue contributing in this community. So I'm really grateful that I got to pursue my master's in journalism from Hong Kong. So sorry, that was a very long answer.
Dude, that's amazing. So this was this question I had for a little bit later, but we're kind of already talking on how Wichita has the opportunities, has the talent. What strategies do you plan to implement to retain the talent here in Wichita?
When I graduated from Wichita State University, I really got to learn a lot from young professionals here in the community and as well as professionals of all ages. And it was when I was 18 years old that I learned the words brain drain. And so ever since I was 18, I understood that our community had this challenge of young people that we invest in then choosing to leave our community. And that is something that has been a challenge for decades now. And so that had always been in the back of my head after I graduated WSU and then when I went off to Hong Kong. And when I was there, I had the opportunity to stay or come back home. And I chose to come back here. I chose to not only start my career here, but really come back home. I believe that there are a lot of boomerangers in our communities
100%.
outside of Wichita that should be considering coming back home.
Yes.
Wichita is an amazing place, and we don't need to suffer from brain drain. We need to actually celebrate those who are choosing to come back home to Wichita. And so for me, one of the things that I do is I share my own story. I also have council members like Councilmember Dalton Glasscock, who also talks about the importance of keeping our young professionals here in our community, but also trying to boomerang back individuals. So those are two main things that we'll be working on, is really sharing Wichita's story so that Wichitans are also great ambassadors of our community. We have to share our story. And I think that when we share our story, others learn about it. And then they are like, wow, okay, Wichita, that's where I grew up. I didn't know that there are so many things going on in this community. Maybe I should take a look and see if I can come back home. So one of those strategies is really telling Wichita's story to Wichitans and then telling Wichita's story to those outside of Wichita. 100%. So I get this opportunity now as an ambassador for the city of Wichita to do both of those things. I say that as the mayor of Wichita, one of my roles is being an ambassador, internal and external. And so I'm really grateful that I have this chance to really just share my story and share Wichita's story together so that we can share with other communities that this community has a lot of opportunities. You've just got to work towards them. And let me tell you, people in this community want to help you.
Yeah. And so in order to do that, what role do you think social media plays in kind of pushing that? Because, I mean, we all know nowadays social media is one of the main platforms that we see a lot of stuff on. So what kind of role does the social media play in developing all of that?
So I know that one way that I try to connect with community of different ages, right? So I communicate on Instagram. And I also communicate on Facebook. But more of my communication is one directional because I know that there are a lot of folks that may want to connect with the mayor. And the best way to connect with the mayor is email us. All of our email addresses, whether it's mine or the 6 other council members, our email addresses are on there. You can connect with us, but I'm not going to be confrontational on social media platforms. That is not the purpose. The purpose for me on social media is to help educate and help motivate this community to see the good things that are happening here, while also helping inform our community so that they can get empowered with information. And then what you do with that information, now you know knowledge. Now you have some data. Now what you do with it is up to you.
Yeah.
But I'm going to empower you with information. So if you see a lot of my social media posts, it always shows a photo because I know that helps people connect with that opportunity. Then in the text of that post, I always share links. I want people to go and figure out more information. And really, it is about moving the conversation forward. And I think it's learning more about what the opportunities are in Wichita. So I will continue using social media to try to help connect people with those things that are happening in the city. I mean, just this week, we have an amazing music fest that's coming to Wichita.
Yes.
It's the first time ever. And it's not just a music fest, it's also a conference to help artists connect to resources. And in addition to that, it's going to connect a lot of nonprofits that are here in our community from the Phoenix that helps individuals with addiction have a place to be with community and have a opportunity to get healthy and active at the same time. Those are organizations that are also going to be part of that music fest. And I think that that's what's beautiful about social media is sharing the good things that are happening. And then when you are able to be more engaged, then you can also say, how can I also be part of the solution?
Oh, I love that.
Yeah, no, that's one thing that a lot of people don't like notice right off jump is how important social media plays for small businesses or now even people that are trying to build that personal brand to become political influences, stuff like that.
Yeah, and just speaking on the events that are happening this weekend, I'm so excited for it. We drive, I drive around this downtown area and see just all the new artwork that has been put in place for it. And it just gets me pumped just driving by. So I just wanted to say that because it's going to be a fun experience.
It looks really cool.
Yeah.
So how long were you a reporter?
So I was a local reporter for 12 years.
Okay.
I started at Cake News as a reporter doing just general news. Then I had the specific beats, which were crime. And then I also did local government. And so that's really where I have been to many city council meetings, Sedgwick County Commission meetings. And that in itself, the 9 years I was at Cake News, it allowed me the opportunity to get around our entire state, not just the city of Wichita, but the state, to try to listen and try to understand the issues. And then when I got an opportunity at Channel 12, KWCH, I was able to become an anchor and a multimedia journalist. So basically, long title, it just means that I went and shot my own story. I wrote the story. I edited the story. I reported on the story. And I also anchored every single day.
That is amazing. That's how. So what at that time? What did like a normal day look like for you?
So when I was at KWCH, I was there for almost 3 years, and my day would start off with our 9:30 editorial meeting, where we as reporters bring out our ideas for stories. We hear from community. We also get emails from viewers telling us, hey, this is a story, this is a possible thing that you might want to dig into. And then we share our ideas at 9:30. We get assigned our story for the day by 10 a.m. And immediately after we leave that meeting, you start working on your story. So you start calling people. The beautiful thing about Wichita is you're literally one phone call away from any expert.
Yeah.
And people will pick up the phone. And I think that that's something that's special about Wichita. You can't do that way in other cities.
Yeah.
Here, I mean, you can call the mayor, you can call a council member, you can call any expert in whatever field you'd like, and they will make the time for you. And so I would go and shoot my story from 10 to about 1 o'clock. I would come back. I would basically transcribe everything that the person I interviewed would say. I would transcribe. And then after that, I would write my story. And then I would get my story approved. And then I would be on set at 4 p.m. for a 4 to 5 p.m. anchoring. So immediately after I got done on the anchor desk at 5, I would get off the set and I would put on my editing cap on and I would start editing. So I would go voice my voice to that story, and then I would cut the story all within 1 hour because the 6 o'clock newscast is next.
Yeah.
And I would have that story up and running by 6 o'clock. I would usually be on set fronting or, introducing the story. And then my edited piece will play. Then I close out the story, come back to my desk, and I would write the web story for online.
Wow.
That's a day, like a typical day.
That
So
is-
you were everything on that editor, writing the
Photographer.
story, photographer. Wow, that's amazing.
Yeah.
Wow.
That is.
So
I
I,
did not know
really
that.
commend all those who are multimedia journalists in our community. If you see one of the reporters who's carrying their own camera and gear, our job is to get the reactions of individuals to whatever the news story is. And we want to, again, share factual information.
Yeah.
So the reporter shares the facts. And then we cannot give our perspective. So we ask for others to, what do you think about these facts?
Yeah.
And they share their feelings. And so I really think that whenever you see a reporter out in our community and they're a multimedia journalist, help them out
Yeah.
by giving your perspective. If they asked you for an interview, they would greatly appreciate
Yeah,
it.
I hold a whole new, respect. Like
Yeah.
that's absolutely amazing. Shout out to all of y'all who do that because that's incredible. So now knowing kind of a day in the life back then, what would you say a day in the life of yours is right now?
Oh my. It really depends on what's happening
Yeah.
that day. So my days really change based off of what is happening in community. I'll give you an example of just yesterday, right? Our city council meetings are every single Tuesday at 9 a.m. And I welcome all of our community. If you at any point feel bored and want to come to a city council meeting and come hang out with us, please do, because that is an opportunity to see how local government works. Our meeting was from 9 a.m. to 12:30 p.m. So it's a pretty lengthy
Yeah.
meeting, but we allow a lot of public comment. So yesterday we talked about the drought. So unfortunately, at this current moment in time, we're in stage 1 of the drought, which really means we're trying to encourage people to save water, be conservative when it comes to water and not watering your lawn multiple times a day. How about reduce that? And so that was one of the many topics we talked about. But immediately after a staff member gives their report, we open it up for public comment.
Oh, wow.
So you can share
Yeah.
your feedback. You're a resident. You can tell us this matters to me or this doesn't matter to me, and you can voice your opinion. And I think that that's something that I want to empower people with. Your elected officials are there to listen to you. And so the city council meetings are for you. It's your hall. City Hall is also yours. And so we welcome you all. So after we're done with our meeting, I had multiple other meetings afterwards. And thankfully, yesterday was a much more slower day. But my weekends are the busiest.
Yeah.
When people say, have a nice weekend, I hope you get to relax. It's actually my busiest
Yeah.
time because there are lots of activities going on in the city of Wichita. And I think that that's something that community needs to know. If you are interested in music, if you're interested in community building, there are so many events that are happening in the city of Wichita. So anyone who says Wichita is boring is just not looking at you guys' social media pages
Yeah.
because I know that there are so many things happening. And so this past weekend, I had the opportunity to walk in the Juneteenth parade.
Okay, yeah.
And so that was really great to see community come together by 13th and I-135, which is McAdams Park. Then after that, I got to share my story, my immigration story, with a group of individuals at a church in downtown Wichita, because the month of June happens to be Immigrant Heritage Month.
Oh, wow.
And so we really want to celebrate all these stories.
Yeah.
There's so many immigrants in our community. If we share more of our stories, you can see that we have so many more commonalities.
Yes, yes.
And that's what I'm trying to do, is bring people together. When you share your stories and you share who you are and more about as an individual, Hannah, Lily, I think that people will tear down those walls that we have against one another and try to find ways where we can work together. And I think that when it comes to community, when you bring community together, when you have events and experiences together, you have a relationship. Then after that relationship, you can help work on those challenges. Because I believe that the greatest challenges in our community can only be solved really by families and neighbors.
That's beautiful. Yeah.
So let's do more community building and let's have more of those experiences so we can have more relationships. And when you as an individual are empowered with information and then help your family and your neighbors and your community, we can really make a big difference in the city of Wichita.
Oh yeah, I absolutely love that.
So
Yeah.
sticking on the whole community involvement
Yeah.
aspect, what are some of the key initiatives or projects that you've worked on that you're most proud of? I know you've done a lot within the community.
So I've been mayor now for about 5.5 months. So
Okay.
not even yet 6 months. And in the last 5.5 months, my best parts about this job are working with 6 individuals who really care about the city. Council members from Johnson, Tuttle, Hoheisel, Glasscock, Johnston, and Ballard, along with myself, the 7 of us really care about this community. And one of the things that we learned in January when we took office together was there was a community survey that was put out in the fall of 2023, and those results came back in January of 2024. And it showed a matrix, and I hope that you guys will get to look at that matrix, but that matrix showed things that are of high importance but low quality, which means there are things that you really think we need to focus on, but we need to do a better job on. And those 3 things were crime, streets, economic development, in that order. So crime reduction and crime prevention, street repair. And then the third one, it's really jobs. Economic development is jobs. And so when it comes to those 3 initiatives, what I'm most proud about is number 1, for crime, working really closely with the Wichita Police Department, being a supporter of those men and women who decide to be public servants to help serve and protect our community. I'm really grateful for Chief Joe Sullivan, who is leading the Wichita Police Department. We just came back from Tulsa on Friday with the chief. We not only went with the recruits, so there are about 30 recruits, new soon-to-be officers. They went and toured Greenwood Rising, Black Wall Street. And we learned about the story of the Tulsa Black Wall Street and the atrocities that happened during that time and how they rebuilt. And I think these are things that, again, it was the chief, our new chief, Chief Sullivan, who wanted these recruits to have this cultural competency, learn about history, get exposed to these stories. And now every recruit class, the last 3 recruit classes have gone through Greenwood Rising.
Wow.
So we got to do that with the recruits, but also we met with the leadership staff at Tulsa Police Department and learned about their real-time information center, or RDIC, where they really use technology. So the cameras, the flock cameras, the license plate readers, smart technology that helps the Tulsa Police Department focus on violent crime and how they can reduce violent crime by using smart technology and having this real-time information center, so you can better equip an officer with information. So if someone says there's a person waving a gun with their right hand at this intersection, we can have, in Tulsa, they can see where that intersection is, and they can say that the man had the gun on the right-hand side, whereas he had his cell phone on his left-hand side. So if an officer gets there and the guy is reaching on the left side, it's not the gun. He's reaching for his cell phone.
Oh, wow.
I think those are pieces of information that are critical and helpful for police officers. So we learned about what Tulsa was doing.
Wow.
They've had that RDIC for nearly a year now. And we in Wichita are about to start one next year.
That is awesome.
Oh, wow.
So
That's awesome.
the police chief has done these listening sessions and community meetings around the city to try to learn about what individuals might be concerned about, but also teach them about what are the things that they'll be doing and how they're protecting information and not, again, they're not trying to spy on you by any means. They're just trying to have information that will be helpful in reducing crime and helping solve crime.
Yeah.
And so that's one initiative when it comes to crime. The other one is this upcoming Saturday at 10 a.m., we have been meeting almost weekly, thanks to Councilmember Brandon Johnson, who represents Northeast Wichita. He, alongside the Greater Wichita Ministerial League, so faith leaders, have come together to do this thing called Unity in the Community Rally for Peace. And it's an opportunity for community, whether you live in Northeast Wichita or not. Come on up to 21st and Opportunity Drive, Saturday at 10 a.m., and walk with us. Walk and say, we don't tolerate violence. It needs to stop.
Yes.
And so we need to come together, and you'll see people that you can turn to. And I really believe it's mentors that you need to turn to. Faith leaders want to be mentors in our communities. And they're going to share after the rally resources, nonprofits that connect you with mentoring programs, Big Brothers, Big Sisters, Prime Fit Youth, all these other organizations that are helping young people connect so that they can choose a lifestyle that is not destructive, but rather productive.
Yeah.
And I think that it's important for community to come together. So that's another initiative. That will be, again, this upcoming Saturday, but we're going to do these once a month. So we'll start in District 1 in Brandon Johnson's, and then in July, it will go to District number 3, Councilmember Hoheisel. So that's Southeast Wichita by the Plainview area.
Okay.
Then the third opportunity will be in August, which is a neighborhood night out. And it's an encouragement for the entire city of Wichita to have these cookouts or just get-togethers in your own block. Get to know your neighbor.
Yeah.
Get to know the people who live literally right next to you. If you live in an apartment complex, get to know who lives next to you or up and down from you. And I think that those are important pieces of helping reduce crime, because when you have more eyes on streets and neighborhoods, in apartment complexes, people will look twice before they try to do something that is not legal or productive. And so again, that will be the third opportunity. And the fourth one, we're hoping that it will be in the North End, up in North Wichita in Vice Mayor Ballard's District number 6.
Yeah.
So again, these are all opportunities to help with crime reduction, crime prevention, connect people to resources. When it comes to streets, this one's a little bit trickier because, as you know, Wichita is really spread out.
Yeah.
So the City of Wichita Public Works Department takes care of 5,600 lane miles, 5,600 lane miles of street.
Wow.
That's more than Metro Denver.
Wow.
So let that sink in for just a little bit, because I know that everyone's going to say, you need to fix my road. And then you're going to say, you need to fix my road. So those will take time when it comes to replacement of streets, But one thing that people can do and help us with is reporting on those potholes.
Yes.
So we fill those potholes in a matter of 24 hours. And so all you have to do is report it. Show us where exactly it's at. And Public Works Department, over 60,000 potholes get filled at least every single year.
Wow.
So they're very busy.
Yeah.
But it also helps with streets. And I think that that's another initiative. It's just reminding people the tools that are there to empower you to help us, solve some of the problems. And then finally, when it comes to economic development, that one is about jobs, right? I really need our businesses in our community who are job creators to know that they're valued. We appreciate businesses, small or large, that help employ Wichitans. We thank you because you are providing job opportunities for our residents. And so I also want them to know that we're also going to be attracting. We're going to try to pitch to other businesses outside of Wichita to consider coming to Wichita. And so when it comes to economic development, we need to keep the jobs we have, but also attract new jobs to come here. So we need to also keep the people we have and attract more people to come here. That's all part of economic development. So I think that those three areas are really key areas that I'm really proud of. But the last one, I didn't mention this, but it's one that I am also really grateful that we now have a council that is working together on one community-wide problem, and that is homelessness. And so the 7 of us, when we got into office in January, we started understanding what are things that we all have in common, and what are areas maybe you and I will not completely agree on, but where can we find some compromises? And when it came to homelessness, all 7 of us said, we've heard it from community. The community wants us to have some sort of seat at the table to help with solutions. And so right now, we are in the talks with Wichita Public Schools as they unfortunately had to close some schools because of a budget deficit, which, by the way, the city of Wichita is also facing a budget deficit in 2026 that will balloon from 26 to 27 and 28 to $55 million. So we also have our own problem. But the city of the USD 259 decided to close some schools. And then we started thinking, can that be an opportunity for homelessness to help connect individuals to resources? So don't think of it as just a shelter, but rather a navigation center, a place where individuals can come in, get a hot shower, get a meal, get a place to sleep, and then recenter and figure out, what is it that I need? Am I needing substance abuse help? Am I just needing a place where I can learn some job skills? And we want to connect them to the nonprofits that are already in Wichita, in this ecosystem, and connect them to the right resources. So we are working towards that. And we have a community listening session tomorrow on Thursday at 6 p.m. at the Advanced Learning Library to talk more about the Park Elementary School opportunity. And we really want to hear from community. Tell us what you think about this new innovative solution of trying to connect people to resources and how we can also play a part in helping with this community-wide challenge of homelessness.
Wow, yeah.
That's great. So going back to your first point, you mentioned down in Tulsa they have Arctic. So my sister went to like the police, like the community police academy here in town, and she was at the call center, or not the call center, the cameras.
Dispatch?
Yeah, not dispatch. The place where you watch the cameras. And she was telling me like she would always like have like grievances in a way of like, okay, so we watched something happen in Old Town and we wanted to connect directly to the cops because she's like, I'm watching whatever happened. I'm watching that person either run this way or that way. And like, but then she would have to go through dispatch in order to do that. And so I think it's really cool that you guys are going to kind of like blend those better, because that's one thing like I just heard from her that was, she would see something happen and be like, I can't do nothing about it besides going through dispatch. And sometimes they give the wrong information, it's misconstrued. So I just want to say like, it's awesome to see that that's coming to town.
I think Arctic is going to be a critical tool. And again, one of the things about cameras is there's only a limited amount of time that cameras are, for instance, body-worn cameras.
Yeah.
That video only has a lifespan of 30 days or whatever the criteria are. And so I really believe that we need to understand how those tools are being utilized and how they can best help in solving crime.
Yeah.
We all want to live in safe neighborhoods and we want to live in safe cities. We also want our rights to be protected. And I really believe that that's why the police department is going around the community listening to any of the concerns, but also if you have positive things to say, also speak up.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, because I always thought it was cool. Like, she would always talk about, like, oh, like, this happened. And, like, anytime she had, like, a win, like, where the call went through right. And she was like, man, it was really cool to be a part of that. But then there was also those times where it's just like, man, like, that person got away. Like, we watched what car he went into, and he was already gone. So stuff like that, it was just, it's cool to hear.
Have you guys been part of the Citizens Police Academy?
That's what it was. That's what she was a part of. She went through that. I personally haven't been.
I
She-
Both of you should do it. So I'm an
Yeah.
alumni of the program.
Okay.
Oh, okay.
And I really think that, so the city of Wichita has 3 of them. They have a Citizens Police Academy, a Citizens Fire Academy,
that'd be cool.
and also a Civic Engagement Academy. And all of these 3 are free to the community, but they get you to understand a glimpse of the police department at all different levels or fire department at all different levels. And then the civic engagement gets you a better understanding of how local government, specifically just the city of Wichita, works.
Yeah.
And I think that that is helping to demystify. There are lots of ways that you can be empowered with information. And I think that I really want to encourage more people to empower yourself with
Yeah.
information and get involved, because this is your city as much as it is mine.
Yeah. Oh, that's amazing. Yeah, I didn't even know about those. I'm definitely going to look into that, because I think, one, you know, like you said, that's great information to know, and just getting more involved in the community and in those aspects are amazing.
Yeah, and that's again with being empowered. Like, what's your thoughts on like all the different news sources that we have in town? Because we have, of course, like your mainstream, but then we have like Wichita Life, Wichita News Network, Wichita by EB, all of them. What's your thoughts on like that as a whole?
I love that. I think that we need to meet people where they're at. And for some, it will be television.
Yeah.
For others, it may be radio. And for a younger generation, your young professionals and even younger, it's social media.
Yeah.
And I really believe that we need to empower more people with ways to communicate. And so I'm really appreciative that we have influencers that help share information. And it's from their perspective.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I know that Wichita Wichita Life, EB, all the other ones, including Wichita Moms, they're so helpful in sharing, I think, a lot of the positive things that are
Yeah.
happening in community,
Yeah.
which is missing.
Yeah.
Because unfortunately, as I mentioned to you, my lifestyle as a reporter was going from this story to the next story. And oftentimes it's not the stories that we can spend a lot of time on, the happy,
Yeah.
positive stories. So having the opportunity to have others also share the positive things that are happening in community are important so that no one can say, it's boring to live in XYZ because there's lots going on in Wichita. And I'm so glad that we have so many different ways to connect with people. And I do believe that there's value in more of your traditional media as well as your social media.
Yeah.
So I believe that there can be a blend and there's nothing wrong with that. But I do believe that it's important to share factual information.
100%.
Definitely.
And I think that that is one of the key areas that as a city of Wichita, maybe our news is not flashy, but it's just communicating information.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so from the city of Wichita's point of view, we share things like the drought, right?
Yeah.
We unfortunately are in stage 1 and have been in stage 1 since January of 2023.
Wow.
So over a year we've been in stage 1. And the only way that we can move out of it is if Cheney Reservoir levels increase.
Yeah.
And thankfully we got some rain,
Yeah.
which I'm really grateful for, but we need more of it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it needs to specifically not be in Wichita, but at Cheney Reservoir,
Yeah.
which is where we get one of our sources of water. So I think it's, again, communicating information that is factual information right now that we can share, but maybe not everyone sees information just being pushed out. So we need others to help us share that information from your own perspective. Now that you know about this drought,
Yeah.
maybe you could share about what you're doing to conserve
Yeah.
water.
Yeah. No, I love that. I mean, and like you said, a lot of the influencers around here, they do, like, I see Wichita Life and like they share stuff like that, and I don't know, it's nice to know, and like you said, get the knowledge and then share it, and that's definitely something I'll be more conscious on sharing to our audience. And
No more
stuff.
30-minute showers.
No more 30-minute showers. Yeah, I'll do.
Turn off the faucet when you're brushing your teeth.
Ooh, yeah, I'm guilty of that. I'm gonna have to make a list of me to follow because
See
gotta
that.
get out that drought.
Every drop counts.
Yeah, it
I
does.
didn't even think about that, honestly. Like, there's so many times throughout the day, whether it's
Actually, that's
like,
true.
for me, my the most wasteful thing that I would always do would run a dishwasher when it wasn't like all the way full. That was something I didn't realize how much a dishwasher used
Ran
water.
water.
I mean, it makes sense. It's all water, but and same with laundry. I mean, for the longest time, it's like, man, I just needed that one shirt washed that was in there. Throw a couple towels in there to make myself feel better. But then I'm like,
You just washing one shirt, Jacob. Dang.
and a couple towels.
Put it in the sink. No, I'm just kidding. I do that though. I mean, because I live by myself, so
Yeah.
my dishwasher is never that full, so I'll just wash them by hand next
Yeah,
time.
just try that.
I
And
got
make sure
this
you turn it off, the water off while you're scrubbing.
I'm gonna have to think about it. We're gonna have to do an informational about this because I didn't realize how. Yeah.
There are lots of ways
There's
to
lots of
save
ways.
water. So we have a website called savewichitawater.com.
Okay.
And there are
What? Yeah.
some links or helpful information to help you consider conservation of water.
Wow.
You know what? Landon needs to do a video on that.
Yeah.
We'll message him.
We'll message him.
Tell him.
But no, and that's awesome. Like, I feel like every point you hit on, you have, like you said, some sort of information to give more to people. And I absolutely love that about, like you said, your posting is you give people the access to the information, that they're wanting and needing. And I think that, is super important, especially in this community. And then, for other communities to see how we do it here in Wichita as well. So, I mean, that's awesome. I love that.
Thank you.
Yeah.
What motivated you to go from the journalism to politics? Like, what was that?
You know, I really believe that here in Wichita, I was able to really realize my full potential. I was able to get my education, so be a lifelong learner. I always believe that there's so much more to learn and to absorb and to gain knowledge about. So being a lifelong learner has been cultivated in this community. Being a listener is also being, my profession was being a reporter. I listened. That was my main job.
Yeah.
I listened to people and then helped share their stories. And then being in this community really helped develop my love for the people here.
Yeah.
Ever since I was in high school, I started volunteering. And it's because I was involved in community. And I think that that's another key area for especially young professionals who are watching. When you live in a city, you can really choose to be in a city. And the way you choose to be in a city is by you contributing your gifts and talents to that city. Not just in your job, but your vocation. Whether it's volunteering, mentoring, we need more men who are volunteering, to be very honest with you. We have a lot of young people that are needing that male mentorship. And so I have always been connected to community through volunteer service. And so for me, the transition from my career to now public service is really my love for the city.
That's amazing.
I really love Wichita.
That's so awesome. I love hearing that, like being like just same way, just like loving the city, like just hearing other people like share that passion for the city. Because I mean, again, I'm a boomerang myself. I went out to LA, lived out there for some time, just learning the whole video craft, and then coming back here. I mean, granted, it was my choice, but COVID, when it happened, I was very much just like, it's doing too much. So when I came back here and just really involved myself more in the community, I'm just like, okay, there is more than Wichita. Because when I was in high school, I was very much just like, I need to get out of Wichita. Like, in order to pursue video and everything, Wichita's not the place. But now coming back and seeing it, there's so much room for growth. That's what I always tell these young videographers that are wanting to leave the city. I'm like, no, stay. There's so much opportunity here. Like, every scene is growing, whether it's the music scene here in Wichita, it's growing. Obviously, Elsewhere Fest being here this weekend is proving like, hey, Wichita supports music. And yeah, that's just one thing. Like, I'm just glad.
Yeah.
You know, Wichita, what's unique about our community is really its people. And I think when you go around these community events, you'll see why Wichita's so special.
Yeah.
Riverfest was just 2 weeks ago, and it was music. People gathered around those concerts and they were having a good time, and they brought families out, friends out. And so I do believe that music brings people together.
100%.
I also believe that sports does that too.
Yeah.
Yes.
And so I, obviously, Wichita State Shocker girl, so I love watching basketball, especially our men's basketball, but we also have a great women's basketball team. We need to go and support and go to these events, these sporting events. Just these next couple of weeks, we will have had the Wichita Open, the golf tournament. Wichita State is hosting 2 national events, the softball tournament, as well as the women's and men's tennis open.
Oh, wow.
For
I didn't
Wichita.
know that. Yeah.
Yeah, so, and that one is free. Anyone can go and see the action up at WSU. And so it's sporting events that bring people together as well. So I really believe in this message of we're all on the same team.
Yeah.
You and I may not agree on everything, but there's one thing we can agree on. We both live in Wichita and we both choose Wichita.
100%.
And if we choose Wichita, we're part of the same team.
Yeah.
So we want what's best for all of Wichita. And so I'm just hoping that more people will see this. There's more alike than differences between us.
Yeah. No, yeah. Wichita is just such an amazing community. I mean, like you said, sports is kind of my field, and I'm not from Wichita. You know, I came to Wichita, to play basketball, and I've stayed here because I fell in love with the community and in the sports, the entertainment, the music, just everything that you can have here. And then the people are just so nice. I love the community. I love the people, the connections, I've been able to make. It makes this community so special. And, I love talking about it, with people who also feel the same. And to all the listeners, check out any event that's going on here because there's something going on every weekend, majority of during the weekdays. You won't regret, taking a look and going and experience the city for yourself.
So, who are some leaders or public figures who have inspired you throughout your journey?
I think that I would go back and think about the mayors that have served before me, more specifically Mayor Bob Knight, who served multiple terms. We actually got to honor him at Riverfest. He is one of the individuals who cares deeply about the city and was a public servant for a very long time. But also Mayor Carl Brewer. The late Carl Brewer unfortunately passed away, but he served and really tried to bring community together.
Yeah.
And he also was the one that started the Mayor's Youth Council.
Oh, wow.
And so the mayor now has a group of young teenagers that help with different community service projects as well as topics and issues that they care about. And then I'm trying to get more involved with the Mayor's Youth Council in helping see these young people and mentor them as they move forward. And so those are two individuals that I want to emulate in terms of being a public servant. But also, I'm grateful for the history that I get to now be a part of. As the 103rd mayor for the city, I am actually only the 5th woman to serve in this capacity. Back in the early times of our city, the mayors would just rotate around. So they would serve a 1-year term based off of the council. So it was not voted by the people.
Okay.
So the first 3 women were a rotation. The 4th one, she was elected into office, but not for a full term. So I am the first woman to serve a full term of 4 years.
Wow.
And I was elected by the mass, so the entire city. And I am the first woman and also the first Asian woman to serve as mayor in the entire state of Kansas.
That's amazing and just inspiring. I mean, being able to, sit next to you and hear your story and everything. It's just, that's amazingly inspiring and that's awesome.
Thank you.
So, another one. How do you see technology and innovation playing a role in the future development of Wichita?
Well, funny that you say that because at Riverfest, we had these coins. We had an event called I Choose Wichita, and it was on a Sunday. Not only did we honor former Mayor Bob Knight, we also gave out these coins, which I'll have to share with you before I leave. And it says Air Capital. And I think that Air Capital has been our moniker, but there needs to be more meaning to that. And I do believe that there is more. So it stands for aviation, innovation, and research.
Ooh.
Okay.
So Air Capital. So when you talk about technology and innovation, let's just talk about WSU
Yes.
and
Wow.
Innovation
Yes.
Campus.
Yes.
That's what I'm
I mean,
yeah.
that has put Wichita on the map. What is happening at WSU, what has been happening, is really because we have come together and said, you know what, we need to invest in ourselves, and we are a great research university, and we are innovators. And so I'm grateful that WSU has Innovation Campus. But here throughout the entire city, we're being innovative in other ways. The history of Wichita is from also entrepreneurs, people who took risks. And that's what I hope that people understand, that the entrepreneurial spirit in Wichita is alive and well.
Yes.
100%.
People try. You can try things in small experiments, and if they're successful, you keep going, and then they become big businesses, right? So I'm really grateful that there's incubator spaces here in our community that are helping those entrepreneurs from groups like Wichita Chamber of Commerce, Wichita Independent Business, and we have these other entrepreneurial nonprofits that are helping young people and just entrepreneurs in general. I'm really grateful for them.
Yeah.
So innovation is the core of our community as well, and we need to really lean into it. But I also think that it also has to do with collaboration.
Yeah.
So we're trying to think of innovative ways to solve problems, but I believe that when you try to solve problems innovatively, it requires collaboration. So you might not have all the skills. I might have some of them. If we the two of us combined,
Yeah.
we'll be able to solve something even
Yes.
greater. And so I'm really grateful to see things like the new biomedical center
Yeah.
that just had a groundbreaking. That's a collaboration between WSU, KU, WSU Tech, and it's going to really help energize this downtown core. And so I think those innovative approaches are the way to go. But I also think that we need to continue to think about diversity in terms of diversifying our industries.
Yeah.
Yes.
So technology is another area. We have a company not too far away from here called Nova Coast, who moved their entire headquarters from California to Wichita, Kansas.
Wow. I didn't know that.
Yeah.
I didn't
Yeah,
know.
so-
Wow.
So that's neat, right? Like, and they're a tech company. They do cybersecurity, and so we need to also tap into that. You mentioned you lived in California for some time, and I think you could in Wichita. You can really live. You don't have to be stuck in traffic.
Yes.
You can really live and enjoy all the things that are part of this community instead of just calling them a tourist attraction.
Yes.
Yeah.
They become part of your way of
Yep.
life.
Yeah.
And I think it's easy to live in this community.
100%.
And so I hope that those tech companies in California are watching because Wichita is open
Yep.
and we would love to show you why this is the best place to live, work, and raise a family.
Yeah.
100%. 100%.
Definitely.
So, talking about like the revitalization of downtown, what are some things that are happening here that a lot of people may not know of right now?
There's a lot going on in Wichita, and I think that, again, Biomedical Center being one of them,
Huge.
what's happening at WSU Tech and NIAR, the aviation industry is still very alive and well in our
Yeah.
community. General aviation really had its birth here. And I think we need to, again, tap into what is it that our identity is. We need to learn more about history and then be proud about who we are. And I'm grateful for those who work in advanced manufacturing, in manufacturing in general, because they have been part of the lifeblood of our community. So have small businesses. And so, again, trying to remind this community that we have a lot to be grateful for, and we also need to celebrate them.
Yeah.
I need more folks to say, "Hey, this is my 5-year anniversary," or we now have inaugural event. These are all good things for our community, and I'm excited because, again, this weekend we have an inaugural music fest
Yep.
that is combining so many different resources together right here at Elsewhere Fest.
Yeah.
So don't sleep on Wichita.
Yep.
We're waking up and really trying to share our story, and
Yeah.
we're going to start sharing it more loudly.
Yes. Definitely.
And one thing I can even say, like, obviously, we're sitting here in the Commerce Club, seeing, like, because ever since, like, I've been young, it's always been East versus West Wichita. And that's one thing I want to see more of Wichita is, like, growing the downtown district. I mean, I don't understand, like, the whole expansion when there's so many empty buildings down here. And so what do you think, like, is a way that we can kind of bring people back to downtown?
You know, what we're lacking throughout the entire city is housing.
Okay.
We need more
Yeah.
housing.
Yes, yes.
We need more housing at all different levels. We need diversity in housing, townhouses, multi-level. We need more opportunities for people because I know that as a young person, my brother and sister-in-law are prime examples. They don't want a home just yet.
Yeah.
So they love being able to rent a place where they live, and they like the flexibility that they can travel. And I think that we need to cater to multiple different types of families
Yes.
Yeah.
and individuals. And so if we can have more housing downtown,
Yeah.
and if more opportunities arise, whether it's here at Commerce or anywhere in the downtown
Yeah,
core,
yeah.
we need more of that.
Yeah.
And I think that the downtown is the heartbeat of a community. And that doesn't mean that we're ignoring the other areas of the city. It just means that when people come together at a central location, more things can happen even
Yeah.
in your own neighborhoods. So I'm excited about what's happening in the North End over by 21st and Broadway.
Yeah.
Empower is doing great things to try to help entrepreneurs and revitalize that area. And so that's creating energy. And you have obviously pockets in Northeast Wichita and in West Wichita. But I really believe that when you're in the downtown core, if we can have more people living here and you can see people walking around.
Yeah.
And actually on Sundays, you can see people walking their dog or walking with their friends. That's the liveliness that we need more of.
Yeah.
So we need more housing opportunities.
Yeah.
Yeah, because that's one thing I noticed when I did move down here. It was very much like, it felt like, cool, 5 o'clock Friday, it's desolate unless there's an event down here. And
Yeah.
then also, I will say, we need more food down here.
Yeah. I've second that.
There is a food drought in downtown Wichita.
But the food that's here is really great,
Yes,
guys.
yes.
So
I
love it.
Yes, there is a lot of really good spots.
Yeah, there's a lot of like family-owned family-owned restaurants that are so good downtown too. So shout out to all y'all.
Speaking of like favorites and spots and everything, what are some of your favorite spots to visit in Wichita?
So I like eating all different types of foods, and I really enjoy. My boyfriend and I, we like to share a lot of food. Tapa styled food is actually the best because you can try more things.
Yeah.
But one of my favorites is down in Southwest Wichita, where I grew up. There's an El Salvadorian place called Usuluteco, and it's a family-owned business, and it reminds me of my childhood. So Salvadorian food is very similar to Guatemalan food, and so I really enjoy going there. But I like eating pho around this community. So we have a rich Vietnamese heritage here in our city, and so we have lots of Vietnamese places that offer pho, and I love that.
Oh,
I can
yes.
eat it all year round. I like soup all year round.
Yeah.
But I like barbecue. I like all types of food. So really,
Yeah.
I'm not going to single out any more of the businesses, but I do like to try new things. And I'm just so grateful that we have such international cuisine in our city.
Yeah.
Yeah.
If you like some Thai food, there's some Thai food. If you want some soul food, there's some soul food. There's just lots of different variety.
Yeah.
That's the one thing, just speaking on Wichita as a whole, it is the melting pot.
Yeah.
I know they would say stuff like that, like, I guess my biggest example is like when you go to the pier, like Santa Monica Pier in LA, like there's so many different like ethnicities and just diversity there. And then starting to see more of that here is really cool. And it shows definitely in like the cuisine that we have here.
Have you guys ever been to the Wichita Asian Festival?
Yes.
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 So that is near and dear to my heart. I started volunteering for that organization when I was 18 years old.
Okay.
And the Asian Festival has been around since 1981.
Wow.
It actually started with WSU students and professors that just wanted to share their culture.
Yeah.
And as you know, Asia itself is huge. It comprises of so many different countries and so many different languages. So the Asian Festival has now grown to also have the opportunity to not just think of the eastern side of Asia, but also some of our Middle East. So Lebanese cuisine, we have lots of really great Lebanese restaurants here in Wichita. And so Asian Festival has also embraced that. And I think that that's another thing that is so unique about our community. We have so many immigrants from so many different places from throughout the world living here in the city of Wichita that we need to learn about other people's stories. And I really believe that we have so many more commonalities.
Yeah.
The value for family, the value for being able to, be together. The togetherness of a lot of our cultures are very similar. And so we need to get back to those things.
Yeah.
And I believe that that's where you will build a stronger city if you connect with the skills and gifts and the individuals who are here already.
Oh yeah, that's beautiful. Yeah.
And that's what I love about Wichita is, like how you said, like you have the Asian heritage, like that event. I mean, there's so many different like cultural based events here, and so someone like myself, I can go out and experience and like just see more about all the different cultures here in town. One of like the ones that I can always remember that I've gone to, whether it be the Native American like powwows that they have at the Keeper, or like the museum down there, or another one that I often go to is the Lao New Year out at the temple.
Yeah.
Out at,
I went for my first time this year.
yeah.
It was,
It was
awesome.
great.
It was
Dude,
awesome.
I
So
love
awesome.
that because a buddy of mine, he's Vietnamese, and so the first year I went out there, I kind of didn't know what was going on, or I just was looking around. But then he made me try the chicken on a stick. it's kept me coming back every time. I love that.
You know, festivals, especially in our Asian cultures, always combine two things: culinary arts and performing arts.
Yeah.
So entertainment and food.
Yeah.
And that's what a lot of our festivals are. Asian festivals that way, Lao New Year, Chinese New Year's coming up next year. But we also have something called the Mid-Autumn Festival.
Okay.
That's when the full moon is at its fullest once a year. And you get to share these things called moon cakes. And it's a celebration of family. So it's kind of like Thanksgiving.
Yeah.
So you get to learn about all the different ethnicities here in our community that are celebrating a lot of the things that we should be valuing, which are family, friendship,
Yeah.
and coming together.
Yeah.
Yeah, and Wichita is amazing with again, like how sports and music bring the people together, but food. So I do a lot of event video work, and the ones that I always see like the most people come out to are like the shopping grubs, where there's so many different like food vendors out there, or this weekend as well as Taco Fest. And so there's like just seeing the amount of people coming out just to like the Taco Fest models like peace, love, and tacos, because you see people there that outside of the event might not see eye to eye, but when they're there, they're celebrating the tacos. And that's one thing I just love about like just all the events in Wichita is people can put their differences to a side and just enjoy that
community.
event.
Yeah.
I met the organizer of Taco Fest last week, and they were honoring African African businesses.
Yeah.
And one of the things he told me was, we need more folks to keep on supporting.
Yes. Yes.
I think that that's the key message, especially when it comes to small businesses, these food trucks. You got to support them.
Yeah.
The only way that they can survive is if more people are patronizing their businesses. And so when there are cool events like Taco Fest or Elsewhere Fest or any River Fest, come and support.
Yeah.
If you can't physically be there, you can also share it on social
Yes.
media. Get others to support it. But I think that that's the positivity that I'm hoping to encourage our community to go behind.
Yeah.
Because I believe that every day you get to choose two things. You get to choose your attitude and your effort. Everything else out of your control. The other thing is you get to choose to either be a victim of your circumstances or a victor in your own story.
Come on, Lily. Come on.
And those are the two main things that if we remind ourselves, those are literally under our control.
Yeah.
Yeah.
How much more will we focus on trying to improve ourselves, help our family, our friends, our community out? And so it really starts with you.
Oh, that's well said.
Okay.
Man, that inspires me right now. Let's go.
Wow. I think we can end on that one.
Mic drop that.
Yeah.
Let's go.
Good on it. Lily, I just want to say I appreciate you so much
Yes,
for coming
definitely.
on and just talking to us for just about an hour and some odd minutes. So I just want to say thank you for coming on.
Yes, thank you so much.
Any final remarks?
Well, Jacob and Hannah, thank you for this opportunity. I really want more folks to see the goodness in our community. There's a lot of great things happening in our city. And if we all help share what is happening and you put your own 2 cents of that positivity, it will help our community grow, which we need more of that. And we need to keep the individuals who are here.
Yep.
And so I, alongside council members at the city, we will focus on the things that local government has control over. So we will be working on the things that really make a difference so that you can have the best place to live, work, and raise a family. So we'll keep on working on crime, on streets, and on jobs so that you will keep choosing to live here in our great city.
Yeah, definitely.
Wow. So where can they follow you?
Well, you can follow me on Instagram, Facebook, LinkedIn.
Ooh.
But unfortunately, I may not be responding to you. So instead, email me.
Okay.
My email is super simple. It's lwu@wichita.gov.
Okay.
And you can find all the council members at wichita.gov. Click on City Council.
Perfect. Amazing.
Well, yeah. Thank you again for coming on.
Yep. Thank you.
Thank you.